A question that's come up several times lately from different people that I thought I would talk for a minute about is how does boudoir photography work when you have a disability or multiple disabilities? Is that even a thing? How would you go about it? And what I'm going to tell you applies to portrait photography and small business photography and fine art photography as well. Anything that involves a human body, stock photography. And that is that it is totally possible to get wonderful boudoir photos or any other kind of human body photo when you have a disability, mental, physical, visible, invisible, and that bodies with disabilities are just as worthy of wonderful photos as anybody else, possibly even more so because we don't see those bodies represented. We don't see them lifted up and glorified and represented beautifully. And so that's part of what I do at Body Liberation Photos, as you can see in my stock photos and my portfolio and my client work, is to lift up the bodies that don't experience that anywhere else. And that absolutely includes people with disabilities. And, I think it's hard when we have these bodies that are not only bigger, but potentially, adding a disability on top of that. It's hard to visualize yourself doing this. But I will tell you, I have worked with people with limb differences, what we would have previously have called missing a limb. I've worked with folks who can't stand for more than 60 seconds. I've worked with folks who have a hard time with stairs. I've worked with folks who, and this is really common, who can't get down on their knees for whatever reason. And I don't think of this as being, as subtracting from my ability to create artwork. This is not, I'm not, making accommodations for a difficult client. I'm not creating an experience that is lesser because you can't do something that someone who is able-bodied might be able to. That's not even what it's about, because the whole experience is focused on you and the body you have right now. It doesn't matter. If you need to sit the whole time, it's not, oh, well, this client just can't stand for too long. It's, we're going to create a wonderful experience around seated poses. If you have a hard time getting on and off a bed, that's cool. We'll put you on a couch where you can sit and lounge and drape yourself wonderfully. It's not about creating a lesser experience. It's about optimizing the experience for you specifically. And so let's talk about the person that I've worked with who had a hard time standing for longer than literally about 60 seconds. It just wasn't a big deal because we always had a chair right beside her. And she'd give me a 5-second warning, and I'd take a last photo and let her sit down. And then, we did a lot of seated poses. And we did a lot of things structured around things that could be done very quickly. It just wasn't a big deal. And so it's an honor to be able to depict the bodies of people with disabilities, because being photographed is so vulnerable and so intense. And it's such a privilege and a joy and an honor to depict the people who might not feel welcome somewhere else and who might not feel safe somewhere else. And so let me wrap up by telling you about the accessibility of my studio and what I do around that. So my studio is in my home here outside Seattle, Washington. And because we bought this home before I started my photography business, it is a little bit less accessible than I would prefer. It is not wheelchair accessible. There are 5 or 6 steps to get up the walkway out front, and then a little bit of smooth surface, and then a couple more steps. Once you're inside the house, it's all built on half levels. So I do most of my photography work on the top level and then the living room level. And we can, of course, structure that around what's needed. But unfortunately, it does mean that if you want to get to the bathroom, there's a half flight of stairs, no matter which way you go, with a railing, carpeted stairs. So again, it's not as accessible as I would like it to be. I do structure sessions for folks with limited mobility and physical disabilities in a way where we're minimizing, stairs and things. But what I want to say too is that if the configuration of this house is not a configuration that works for you, I'll come to you. We'll pick a fully accessible location physically. We'll find a yoga studio to rent. We will do it in your bedroom, on your couch. Being here specifically is not integral to the experience. And so again, it's not like going out of my way to put up with the accommodations that people need. It's not about that at all. It's a joy and a fun challenge every time. Like, how do we make this wonderful experience when this is a need or a preference that somebody has? And that goes for invisible disabilities and neurodivergence and so on as well. Because your responsibility as a client is to use your words and let me know what you need. And that includes, I need to sit down. I need to stand up. I need you to get out of my face with this camera for 5 minutes. I need a snack. I need a drink. I need to go to the bathroom. I'm feeling really overwhelmed. I need a quiet space for a few minutes. I need a dark space for a few minutes. Whatever that is, your responsibility is to let me know, because I'm really good, but I'm not magic and at mind reading. And my responsibility is to create a space where you feel comfortable doing that. So that's how we work with everybody around here.